Hi everybody, welcome to the Toronto Real Estate Show with Jenelle and Leslie. I'm Jenelle Cameron.
And I'm Leslie Pearson.
Today we are going to talk about how much money you actually need to make in order to be able to afford a home across the GTA. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you had a great week. And we're here to talk about how much money you probably don't make.
Money, money, money.
Money, money, money.
It's never enough.
Let's talk first, though, about this totally bizarre market that we're in.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the totally bizarre situation we had just setting up for today.
Yeah, there's that.
People don't care about that.
They don't care, but I'm telling you, if it does not resolve itself, I will publicly shame this place and and cause people to not come. So we will not do that yet. Let's see. But anyway.
You were talking about the craziness of the market is what you were going to say.
Yeah. Slow market.
Yeah, like
2 weeks
very
into April, I would say everything changed.
Yeah, and normally you start to see a slowdown just before like the heart of the summer, but this happened like 2 months earlier, and so the craziness or the busyness, at least, of our typical spring real estate market was so brief.
Yeah.
No, it's really quiet.
Really quiet.
Yeah.
Do you think, I'm hoping that everyone's just kind of waiting to see what happens at the next interest rate?
Well, yeah, but they've been doing that all along. Why was there a little bit of a blip when they were out looking?
There was last year too.
Yeah.
I remember.
So that was some pent up buyer eagerness.
Spring
and then
eagerness.
They just, is it that there's only crap out for sale?
No, I think all of a sudden there's a lot of decent stuff out for
There's
sale.
a lot out for sale. I just don't know how decent any of it is. But.
Well, there is that. But I do feel like, everyone is anticipating the rates going down.
So they're holding off for that.
So
I'm hearing, and this is just anecdotal and just probably coincidence, I'm also hearing some fear about layoffs from varying different people.
I'm hearing a lot about that.
Yeah. So where did that come from? Kind of out of the blue.
Yes, and if you're in the new construction business, my goodness.
Yeah,
it's
tough.
tight.
But I can't, I guess a bunch of little reasons add up to explain it, I guess, because there's been no disaster.
No.
But it is quiet.
And it was a dramatic switch. It's like the entire buying community just flipped a switch all at the same time together.
Yeah, I have people who were hot in late February, March, and early April, and for personal reasons backed out, but they offered on a few things and weren't getting them because everyone was in multiples and crazy, and they put their search on pause a little bit, but found a house just by chance this week that they love, and the listing agent says nobody's coming.
Yeah.
So there might be an opportunity for these people, although I don't know, but
I
don't know. I can't explain it, but it is definitely happening.
We've got listings.
Yeah. What the heck? How are they going? Quiet.
Yeah. Quiet. The condos are quiet.
Condos are dead.
I've got a couple of houses coming out next week that I think we should get some action on, but how do we know? We'll just have to wait and see. I think the message for every seller right now is just be patient, hang tight. Things will resolve itself.
Yeah.
We just don't know when. Certainly maybe there's a feeling of if you don't have to sell, don't do it now.
Definitely.
So that's...
When is the next interest rate announcement? Is it July?
4th.
June 4th coming out. So next week.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do we expect to see, all of a sudden a uptick in activity? That's when usually the market starts to slow down. Or will those people hold on to that good news until the fall?
I think there could be a little bit of a surge. We've certainly got the problem is right now, like there's so much inventory coming on the market, and like yesterday in the core, like the condo core.
Condos.
150 new listings.
Thinking about condos gives me hives.
Yes. Especially in the core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many for sale, and they are sitting. So we've got a couple of great ones.
We do.
And, but we had a couple of great ones earlier in the year, and, there was just patience and waiting, and they ultimately sold. I guess that's what happens.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of hanging tight, I guess, for all of us. And, if you're one of those people that are in that position or in that boat right now, I think you've got two options. You hang tight, or you try to see what happens in the fall. My fear about the fall is that there's going to be more inventory than we can even begin to
you'd
imagine.
Think so. Yeah. So I had the same thought, and so I'm thinking maybe hold off till next spring if I had something to sell. If it doesn't sell now, I don't know. It's a good time to buy. I mean, one of our condo listings came out at a new price, and a really, really good price. And I did the open houses there on the weekend, and nobody came.
And before, when it was at a higher price, it was busy.
Right.
Yeah.
But this weekend, hardly anybody came.
Yeah, strange. And there was another new listing in the building, so I thought that it would just, generate more, which is more, they were higher than, like, there's two listings in there higher than us, and ours is nicer.
Yeah.
So it's weird times, like, all that to say that I would probably be buying now.
I'd be buying, and I don't know if I'd be selling.
Right.
But I'd be buying.
Also, like, I understand that interest rates are higher and this scares people. Let's not talk about job market or whatever, because maybe that's a whole different thing. But when you're doing your calculations, the difference between 0.5%.
I can't have this conversation anymore. I'm so done with it.
I know.
But it's because it's so true.
It's so
and
crazy.
It's so obvious.
People making such a big deal out of these small little, and if the market all of a sudden picks up, if it drops 0.25%, that's exactly proves our point.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the cut out your Starbucks every day conversation. It's a Starbucks a day between getting a house and not being successful in your offer. Why are you screwing around?
It's a Starbucks a day.
Yeah, like why? What is the mental obstacle to that? Yeah. Anyway, I'm in a crappy mood, and the market is crappy.
Yeah. But
nonetheless, I'm doing an offer today, and fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I thought I was doing one today. For a second there, I thought it was the same house, but
no,
they've, I think, thought better of it. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Well, so many, in my case today, I shouldn't talk about personal situations, but so many things are going against this happening that I actually think it might.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, listen.
It's so much.
Sometimes, Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so we will get on to it. We will talk about, today I thought this was interesting, is how much money you need in order to be able to afford a house across a lot of the GTA. Now, this was a great report that was published in, where the hell was it published now? I've forgotten. It was done by Rate Hub. And what they did is they looked at just how much it costs in April, like what the average home price is, how much income is required in order to buy a home, and then they also compared it to March.
Okay. And
prices went up from March to April.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at that. We're looking at basically having an average 25-year mortgage based on you having 20% down. Based on you having, looking at the averages of the prices in each of these areas, and then determine this is how much money you need to make in order to be able to afford it.
Right.
If I'm explaining that properly.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before, but not recently. It's interesting because factoring into that is, also the grossly increasing rate of cost of everything. Everything.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because
apples just killed me this morning. I wish my kids didn't love them so much.
Oh my God. Can we talk about olive oil?
Olive oil.
$24 for olive oil.
Oh yeah, my
And
daughter.
every
Just
single-
wrapped my knuckles about the olive oil I buy. I can't even have a conversation about olive oil.
I
need to go. Apparently, do you go to an olive oil store?
I'm just trying to buy olive oil.
Samantha says you shouldn't go to an olive oil store.
Well, I abandoned ship. I'm not one who like looks at prices all that often. Really, like but I swear to God, olive oil has gone from $15 to $24.
Yeah.
And I'm not paying $24.
Yeah, like when I paid $9.99 for a little bag of apples, like I think kids start to like bananas.
Yeah. But does that help? I think they better start to like dirt.
Bananas are pretty good now. 69 cents. Like bananas are pretty good. And you know what I heard we are really off track.
Yeah.
You know what? You know how with the increase in self-checkout.
Yeah.
You know what I heard a lot of people are doing? I shouldn't talk about this.
What?
So I think bananas are the cheapest you can get, and everybody knows the banana code. Whatever fruit they're buying, they put in the banana. They put in
That's the code.
For
Oh yeah, 4011.
they're putting in the banana code.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that's the stealing, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Well,
We digress.
Things are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so income required. Okay, interesting. The mortgage rate in March this year, by the way, was averaged 5.62, but it actually averaged 5.5 in April. So for most people, it was down slightly. And the stress test, therefore, changed from making the approval based on a 7.62% mortgage in March to 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my opinion, the stress test should be long gone, considering we are, the rates have gone. I understand why they had it in the beginning.
I don't know if it's ever going to go.
It won't go now.
Once anything is instituted, it just stays.
It just never goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, all of that to say that let's first talk about the city of Toronto, which for some reason, where the heck is that on my list? Well, I can tell you that I don't have it here. Here it is. The average price of a home in April of this year in Toronto, 1.128. Okay. Now, that means that in order for the average person to qualify, they need to make an income of $218,050.
So the average income for the average house.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a lot of money.
That's a heck of a lot of money.
And so that's household income.
Household income.
Or purchaser's income. It could be more than two
income.
people.
Purchaser's income.
So
yeah.
Either singly, as a couple, or as a group,
218.
the income must be over 200,000.
Yeah.
So how many individuals do you know that make over 200? Not very many.
Not that many.
How many couples even? Close, but maybe not that many.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly, in March of this year, you only needed, it was a bargain, you only needed to make $217,500. So your income required, everyone, is actually going up as the prices go up. That seems pretty obvious, and yet I think there's this expectation out there that if home price or interest rate prices come down, people are going to be able to afford to buy something now. But the reality is, if interest rates come down a little bit, we know prices are going to go up. Now you're going to need even more money.
Yeah.
So you have to really think about this carefully, and
it's a false economy
decisions.
that's focused on I understand the concern, so I say with a grain of salt, it's a false economy. It's false economics, to wait for a reduction in interest rates before acting, but in the interim, your waiting is going to cost you more money.
Yeah.
So I get it, but on the other hand, why so much attention on that? Yeah. So, that 218 you require now is only going to increase.
Yeah. And if you look at the difference between, those 2 months, like home prices, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it went up $14,500 in 1 month.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And when you multiply that over 6 months, whichever one's waiting for. Anyway, so I thought that was just, I know we look at these things and we talk about them here, but it is a shocking amount of money required.
Yeah, so I don't know if you have this. readily available, but what's the average income needed to buy an average condo?
I don't know, but I could guess on that because the average condo in the city was almost 800.
Yeah.
It's like seven something.
So it's going to be a little bit lower, but not much.
Yeah.
The
So
difference between 8 and 1
yeah.
isn't huge.
So if we look at, so I've got some other cities here, and we'll talk about a couple of these, but let's say Hamilton, the city of Hamilton's probably closest to, so $850 is the average price. $859.
Okay, so what is the
price.
income needed for that?
$169,700.
Wow.
So let's say in order to buy the average condo, you probably need
About that.
Say 160.
Yeah.
So that's probably for one person.
Yeah, so does that explain why the bottom of the market, so maybe that's downtown condos, is sitting?
Maybe.
People aren't making that. Or they're concerned they're not going to be making that.
Right. Yeah, because with condos, you have to remember, on top of that doesn't include maintenance fees.
Right.
You know. So yeah, so that's interesting. So but for Hamilton again, $859,600 is the average home price in Hamilton in April, and it was $850 in March. That is obviously far more reasonable of a price. You know, and Hamilton is, as we know, close to the city. You've got GO train access. If you've got a car, it's pretty easy to come in. If you don't have to come into the office every day and you only have to do it a couple times a week, it's doable.
Yeah.
You know? So, okay, so I thought we'd go over a couple of others that were interesting to me. Vancouver, of course, is still the highest. The average home price of Vancouver in April was $1,205,800. And in order to afford that house, you need to make $232,000.
Right.
Yeah. But Vancouver, it's always been like that, so I kind of yeah. On the flip side, Montreal is really a well-priced city, and the average price of a home in Montreal $530,000. Right?
What?
Yeah.
Say that again.
Average price in Montreal $530,000.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, Montreal's it's reasonable. Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah.
But you only need $110,380 to afford to buy a home in Montreal.
Wow.
Much different.
Yeah. So where do you need the least income?
So the least income on this we're analyzing the major cities here.
Yeah.
The very least here is Fredericton.
Okay.
Where the average home price is still $301,000. And this is so funny to me because I follow, because I worked with a U.S. coaching company. I'm in touch with a lot of U.S. realtors, and you know there are a lot of places in the U.S. where $250,000, $300,000 is a high price. Not here. So Fredericton, $301,000 the average, and you can get that with an income of $69,000.
Right. So,
but if you live in Fredericton, is that a really high salary? Probably. Like, there's not a ton of industry there, right? So that was the lowest.
And is Vancouver's the highest?
Vancouver's the highest. We were behind Vancouver. Second highest, Regina. Its average home price there $319,000.
Yeah, no matter how much money I made, I could not do that.
No, or the next on the list would be even lower for me, which would be Edmonton. Sorry, people from Edmonton. It's just so cold. The average price there $390,000, and you need $85,000. So the only other, you know, we don't go into Durham region and things like that, but Toronto, you know, they're really not that far behind anymore, as you all know.
Yeah.
The St. John's, Newfoundland was higher than Edmonton, Regina.
Well, I kind of get that.
I kind of get it.
But I mean, so I guess what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, you have to follow the job, and then see what you can do. You don't move to a place because the houses are cheap, and then try and find a job.
No, so the only thing I'm thinking in with respect to this is like, you know, if you have a full-time remote job.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, then I would be taking advantage of it and living in the Maritimes. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Great. great
Mm-hmm.
value there.
Mm-hmm.
Even Victoria is still expensive, but $868 is the average price. And what's more beautiful than Victoria? I know it's a little bit maybe sleepy for people who want city life, but I mean that's great. And just another one that was kind of surprising to me because I thought Ottawa was really kind of catching up in price. $643 is the average home price in Ottawa, which is pretty low. And you need $130,000 to be able to afford a place there.
Yeah.
So okay. So let's say out of the major cities here, which one would you pick?
Of the ones you've said so far?
Yeah.
Well, I can't live in Saskatchewan, just personal, and I don't think I'd want to live in Alberta. I'm not, if I didn't have a reason to be, I'm not particularly tied to Toronto. I think I like the idea of Montreal or somewhere on the Maritimes. I'm more Eastern than BC.
Western.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just too far from anything.
Yeah.
And I lived for a few years just outside Vancouver, and I had migraines almost every day.
Yeah, that's
never got them in Halifax.
Yeah, that is a problem.
And so I have to rule it out for that reason.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'd go west because I am a fan of Vancouver, but I mean, outrageous expensive.
Yeah.
But Victoria, I would consider. I think if I had to, I've spent some time there, not enough to say whether I love it, but I do love Montreal. I have to say.
Yeah, I think Montreal
city.
might be my number one.
It's too cold.
Yeah.
It's okay, but if I'm away from the winter, who cares? Yeah. But there are options, right? And
I guess what we're both saying is Toronto isn't the end all be all or whatever that phrase is.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in Toronto.
Especially if you work remotely.
Especially for work.
But family people get stuck where they begin, don't they? Yeah. Although more and more I see people just moving all over the place, and I feel very inspired by that. I followed this YouTuber who's a runner, and him and his wife are from the UK, and then they just packed up and moved to Thailand, and I was like, obviously no kids and they're at a different stage of life, but it felt inspiring to know that we can do these things if we want to, or Montreal or Fredericton or wherever you want.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably all we got about
that's good.
Anything else?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think
so go ask your boss for a raise.
Go ask your boss for a raise.
Or check out those remote jobs.
And think
or
differently.
Think of investment properties in those
absolutely
low cost towns.
I mean, how great to buy an investment property in somewhere like Fredericton and be able to, rent out both units. I mean, why not? And great option too. I'm just going to point this out because something I thought about. I'm going to sell a condo next week that my clients bought when their kids are going to school, so they wanted to buy a condo near the school, like university, and they did, and now university's over, and now we're going to sell it. So from their perspective, it's not really about the increase they've made, which they have, but they keep thinking about how much money they've saved not paying crazy Toronto rent prices over the last 4 years.
So I've had people do the same thing.
So if you've got somebody going to school in Fredericton or Windsor or even Hamilton, it's an option.
I agree.
Anyway, that's that. Hopefully,
I know. Along those lines, I know families coming together whose kids are all going, for example, to Western in London and buying a house together.
Yeah, that's what these
for
people
those 4
did.
years.
Families.
I know more of that than individuals.
And that's smart. And this is the only experience I've had with it, but it worked out fabulously.
Mine as well.
Yeah, it's a hell of an option. Why not?
It's at least 4 years of crazy rent.
Yeah.
So
my one of my closest friends, she has a daughter at Western. She's been paying for 5 years for this apartment, and now the younger one's going there. Like, oh man, had she just found something in London at that time? But who, you just don't know. You don't know where they're going to end up.
Yeah. On the other hand, I know of people who bought a little semi-detached here when their kids were toddlers, thinking they would go to school here, and they never did.
Yeah.
So
so there's that.
That does happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, they held it from toddler age till the kids decided not to go there, and then sold. So they made a lot of money anyway.
Yeah.
They just didn't. It didn't end up being used how they thought it would.
Yeah.
So you can't really make any solid plans based on kids because they'll
They
fool you
surprise
every
us
time.
every time. They are unpredictable.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Well, that's that. So we are now wrapped up for today, I guess.
That sounds good.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Every week I'm like a broken record, but if you have an opportunity to rate this podcast, we would really appreciate it. No matter where you are listening, there's an opportunity to rate it.
And is anybody doing that?
Yeah,
And so you saying it every week is having an effect?
I think so.
Good.
If you're seeing this on video or video clip and not on the actual, not listening to audio, I just want to point out that the audio version on the podcast is perfect audio. The video version, not as much. And so all of our audio problems have been solved. And
I think people are used to that.
I think so, but I did get someone mention that to me the other day.
Still, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so don't forget to follow us on all of our social channels at the Jenelle Cameron team. Reach out with any questions, and we will talk to you next week. Happy real estate.
Happy real estate, everyone.